am going to learn from them. Well, it doesn't mean that you're going to learn from it. It doesn't mean I'm smarter than you. But I'm saying that I hope to learn from them. I think you're supposed to learn something new every single day. That's why try not to die in the morning. The things you may learn may save your life by the evening. I forgot who used to tell me that. I thought it was pretty corny, but when they told it to me, after a while, I said, maybe it's not. You know, I like old sayings like that, right? It was much better than the other sayings like don't step on the crack, break your mama's back. Just showing my age, sorry. I'm just typing in who I have today, and then I'm going to tag it so we can follow them, as well as follow up on them and keep learning from them, because they're amazing. All right, there you go. Now let me just pin this thing here. Trying to pin this damn thing. Come on. Pin. Woo! All right. I'm going to bring in Louis Howe right away. Usually I would read the intro while waiting to bring him in, but you know, with this technology, sometimes the people don't come in right away, and then I would have read everything about him and he wouldn't be there. So let me read his intro while I have him here. All right, I'm looking for Louis, and so glad. Ooh. Showing you the backside of my studio. Let me see. I cannot find Lois. Let me try to get him again. There he goes.
You're looking good, my man.
Hey, Louis, what's happening, brother?
You're looking clean over there.
Ooh, you know.
Looking real clean.
You looking?
Hey, I had something important I wanted to share with you before we started.
What's that?
What do sprinters eat before a race?
What do sprinters eat before a race? I don't know what.
Nothing. They fast.
Well, everybody obviously knows that you like dad jokes.
I only like them when I'm around you. For some reason, it makes me laugh. I had to Google some dad jokes real quick. I got one more for you. What?
Go ahead.
What concert cost just 45 cents?
I know that one. 50 cents with a nickel back.
I don't know why it's so funny to me.
It's so stupid. That's the best part about it.
Stupid.
All right, one last one. I got one for you.
Go ahead.
What do you call a guy with no shin?
Shitless.
Tony. All right. Some of you will get that later.
Oh man, I'm sweating.
All right, so yeah, listen. I'm gonna try to read your intro without giggling the whole time. But so I see you're in the studio. You're in the studio, right?
I'm here, man. Yeah.
All right. So New York Times best-selling author, lifestyle entrepreneur, high performance business coach was extremely important. Not many people could try to be a business coach, but high performance, and I know that comes from your history in sports, going and playing at the top of every level you've always have. Struggle with learning disabilities in school. You're dyslexic, right?
See, yes.
Yeah. So host your top 10 100 globally ranked podcast, and which I've had the honor and the pleasure of being on and learning from, called The School of Greatness, which launched in 2013 and has been downloaded over 40 million times. That is
200.
not...
We hit 200 million times, actually. That's an
200?
200 million times. Yeah.
That means people downloaded. They didn't half-ass. They didn't... they downloaded, which was extremely important. They found the value in it, and they kept coming back. The White House President Obama, awarded you as one of the top 100 entrepreneurs in the country under 30 years old. Huge accomplishment. And you've been on even more shows than I have, looks like. Ellen, the Today Show, New York Times, also obviously People, Forbes, Fast Company, ESPN, Sports Illustrated, Men's Health, and others. And more importantly, I think I love talking about setting goals. You're now committed to impacting 100 million lives by teaching people how to pursue their passion and how to earn full-time income while impacting the world. And of course, you appreciate dad jokes, but really impressive, man. Really, really
appreciate
impressive. Thank you so much. So thank you for being here. And I'm not gonna, just really dilly-dally with you. You and I are buddies, and we can. You've always supported anything I've done, and I support anything you've done. And I want people to be able to. Is she in there? Is that her making noise? Just close the door for me. We got the baby in the background.
Oh, good. You gotta make it work, baby.
Yeah, all right. And I just really want to get into some things. So. How did you transition at such a young age from being an athlete to a business person? And it could be timing, and I'm going to let you get into it. But even me, I'm on CNBC. I'm like the Kardashians of CNBC. They air it so much, right? And you have technically, if you look at, we were just looking at numbers, you have a bigger following and you have more people downloading things. And it doesn't mean there's any difference. The quantity over quality is totally different, but you have quantity and quality, which I appreciate. How did you make that transition at an age where you were really putting it all in as an athlete, and we didn't know you necessarily like the NFL big guys, right?
Yeah, I wasn't that good. Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know about that, but I know there's a lot of politics in those games as well. But how did you transition from that point?
I really found a few key mentors early on that I learned from, to be honest, and I struggled in school. It's funny, I did an interview that came out yesterday where a friend of mine I've known since college interviewed me. And he goes, I remember you as a junior reading out loud in front of our class, and you couldn't read the book as a junior in college. And I remember thinking, wow, this kid has no future. He can't even read in college. Right. And it reminded me of how far I've come by figuring out, okay, I don't understand that game, the game of learning from books, but I'm really good at assimilating information from people like yourself. I'm really good at sitting with you, listening to you, and then observing all the actions you take, specifically with you, Daymond. I watch it. I obsess over it. I'm like a student of life where I'm just constantly, everything you do is like game film for me. Right. And I'm replaying it back in my mind like I would on a football field. And I'm just seeing what are the things that are really making the maximum impact, and how can I develop those same skills 10 years ago when I was getting started, and then every day moving forward, what are the skills I need to develop to maximize my vision with the tools and technology that's available. So I'm constantly researching, I'm constantly learning, interviewing people to consume ideas and information to grow.
And I appreciate you using me as an example. But there's a lot of people right now who are going to power shift in their life, and that they're scared. My favorite uncle, who passed away many years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, he was a career student. He got to the highest level with all the PhDs and everything else. And what he did was really amazing, in regards to, he was in the teachers, he was a guidance counselor, but he just loved to go to school. And that's what he loved to do as well, be a guidance counselor. A lot of people will, they'll constantly learn, they'll observe, but they won't take action. Right, yeah. Because they'll say, it's almost like double dutch. When am I going to get in? Oh, you know what I mean? Like one of that. So for the people today, though, that right now, it is double dutch. It is, do I sell my home? Do I move out of here? How do I keep my job? Hey man, you got a froggy or something in your throat? You all right? You all right? You want to take a little sippy?
I'm drinking my green juice. It's 10 a.m. over here. So
okay, I was about to say, all right, yeah, okay.
You
But
got a few hours under your belt, you know?
Yeah. All right. So how do you what do they do right now? Because they are scared right now.
I think people need. Yeah. I think I've never been afraid to get punched in the face before I started, and I'm willing to get beaten, bruise ribs, get punched in the face, and be embarrassed and humiliated over and over again, because I know that's the only path to actually doing something important or valuable or meaningful, is to go through those, those failure steps early on. You've got how many kids do you have, Daymond, that you know of?
I have 3.
You got 3 kids.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious. I don't have any kids, but as a father, when you saw your kids learning how to walk early on, and they would hit their head or bump on something or scrape their knees and cry, did you say, maybe this walking thing isn't for you? Maybe you should just like crawl the rest of your life?
Very true. Very true. I didn't, I think it first came to me. I remember when one of my daughters, she was little, and, she went to the doctor's office, and all the parents can relate to this, and I think she was probably about 8, maybe 8 months or 6 months, and she had the little chunky thighs, and the doctor looked at her little chunky thighs, and then he stuck a needle in it, and she went, ah, and she screamed, and the doctor, and I just wanted to clock him. He said she got in no pain. She'll never know, if she never knows pain, she'll never know how to grow from that. And I was talking to my wife the other day about our child and about my life, and the most painful things that I've experienced, the looking stupid, like you're saying, made me the better man I am. Because I remember when my mother, I was dyslexic, but I remember when my parents were getting divorced, and I was right around, I think, 7th grade. And I said, and I remember at that time, the teachers knew I was failing, and I did really bad on the test. And they said, we know Daymond's acting up, because I believe that if I would just fail, my parents would get back together to save poor old Daymond.
Wow.
The teachers told my mother one time, they said, listen, if Daymond passes last test, just passes last test, we know he's a smart kid. We'll move him on to 7th grade. I went out and I played basketball all night, and I can't play basketball. And I partied. I did whatever I could.
You did everything but study.
Everything but study. I got a 30 on the test. Now, my mother comes into the principal's office. They say, we've decided we're not going to let him. We're not going to leave him back. We're going to let him progress, because all of us here as parents, and any adult knows, if a kid who's warned that if they get a low score, will get, left back in school, and they come in and they do a 30. I mean, you get a 30 just for writing your name on the top of the damn test, right? They knew I was acting up. And you know what my mother said? She said, you're going to leave this little bastard back. Then she said, Daymond, you're going to stay home for the whole summer. And I was at a better school. And she said, I'm going to move you to the public school down the block. Now, I said, first of all, no way in the world, I've been in this school for 7 years. No way in the world will my mother ever take me out of this school.
Wow.
Right? Because all my friends are here. Number 2, my mother's working 2 jobs. She can't watch me. I'm going to slip out of the house when she is working. And number 3, there's no way in the world she's going to send me up to that public school where they eat their young, and they are just horrible people. You know what my mother did? You know what she did, Louis?
She did it.
She went and got a 3rd job so she can get a babysitter to watch me.
Wow.
It was back in the days when the parents could beat you. She made me take off all my clothes, lay on the couch, and I'm telling you, that belt, she wore my ass out. I was blacker than this before. This is how she beat me to be this color.
Wow.
And next thing you know, I was in that damn school, and I was getting punched in the face and my sneakers stolen.
But you wanted to belt FUBU without it.
I realized the buck stops at me. And I'm going to have to pay for every single thing I do for the rest of my life. And I'm responsible for this because I decided that I made a mistake. And my mother, as cruel as she is, taught me something. And I think that, are you saying, the mistakes that we make and the lessons that we learn, I think, you know what I mean? Teach us these things.
Did you get held back a whole grade?
The whole grade. There wasn't no half grade. There was no, oh, I'm sorry, we just kidding, go back.
What year was it? 7th grade, 6th grade?
This is 7th grade, the 2nd year of 7th grade.
No way, middle school, the most embarrassing years.
Oh, It was horrible, man.
So you got held back a year and sent to a different school.
And sent to a different school, and they stole my kicks. They
It's
stole
almost,
my sneakers.
She almost did you a gift by sending you to a different school, because imagine the kids you were hanging out with in the same school and you weren't in the same class. You were still a class below. That might have been even worse.
It would have been, because they would have punked me. Now, well, listen, on the flip side, all those kids, when they grew up a little more privileged, all those kids end up becoming. You ever see the movie Belly by Hype Williams?
No.
No, it's a drug dealer movie. All those kids end up becoming the kids in Belly. So they end up becoming worse than me, actually.
Right.
Because they were sheltered. Because their parents. See, my parents, when they were together, they tried to do as much for me because they had nothing. But there's an old saying: if you give your kids everything, you're going to make them the poorest people in the world.
What do you do? How do you do that as someone who has abundance financially? How do you manage that connection with your kids to not give them everything they want all the time? Without them screaming all the time.
Extremely hard, especially right now. I mean, during COVID, I'm gonna let you know, if you're not a parent, every single parent is doing this. Hi, you gonna be good today? Yeah. And then they go behind the kid's ear and go, "Oh, look, another present." I'm giving my child a present every single day to just shut up. But traditionally, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to let them earn and this and that. And I think there's a lot of challenges with that. My ex-wife and my current wife are really amazing. I wouldn't be able to raise my kids, and I wish I could give people lessons on parenting. I can't. These women can do it. And women have a really different relationship with kids. I mean, they throw them across the room, and then the baby wants them more than they want me. But it's very, very hard. I tried to do the whole thing with one of my daughters, saying, you know what, if you want a car, your first car, you work for it, I'm going to match the money. And my daughter went out and worked for it.
Wow.
And if I would have matched the money, she would have gotten a car that was a hoopty, like I had growing up. But a friend of mine said to me, he said, "I know you're trying to teach your daughter something, but do you want her riding around in the 35th most safest car in the world?
Right.
Or do you want her riding around in a used one, but maybe a Volvo, or maybe something else, because you'll never forgive yourself if something happens." So this thing is we're getting off point, right? But we are talking about something extremely valuable to people. Like, this thing is crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. If anyone wants to achieve anything great, they need to go through some type of emotional embarrassment over and over again, in my opinion. I just did an interview with Kevin Hart yesterday. Comes out on Thursday on the podcast, and that's what he talked about. He was like, I got up every night in crap comedy stores for 3 people, and I wasn't good. I wasn't funny. I didn't know how to write my own jokes. I was funny with my friends, but it's a different skill to being funny with your friends to being funny on stage and captivating the audience. And, year after year, didn't get the auditions I wanted. I didn't get any roles I wanted in movies. And I kept embarrassing myself, but that's what made me grow. I just think it's important that you've got to be willing to be embarrassed. And once you embrace that fear of embarrassment and you say, okay, I want this, give me more of it, then it doesn't have power over you anymore. Then you're not afraid to just do something. I think something that me and you have in common is we weren't good in school. We're dyslexic.
Right.
We didn't have the grades to back up with skills. We just said, well, we got to figure something else out. I took action in sports and then business. You started, changing the world at 18 in your business. And that's what we did. We just said, okay, we're going to figure out the next step. And so many people are afraid of the first step of just someone laughing at them. They're going to laugh. They are going to laugh. I'd rather them laugh at me on the way to success than laugh at me for sleeping on my sister's couch and staying there.
Is there a flip side to it where people also come around you and support you and say, I was always afraid to do something like that, or you got guts, and, I'm gonna start messing with you now because I'm too busy looking at all these people who are acting so sexy and smart, and we know they're just as screwed up, but you're being transparent. I want to get down with you. Does that happen? Do you think that happens?
Does what happen? What do you mean specifically?
Do people say, I want to get down with you because I saw you risk it all? Because,
Yeah, of course. I mean, people are going to come to you. Once you see yourself being successful, people are to come to you. And that's when you got to figure out, okay, are they really here because they like me or they like the success I have and things like that? Is that what you mean? The people
No, but what
coming
about
through.
when you just keep falling on your face? For all the people right now who are going to go out there and they're going to take on another journey and they're going to fall on their face, but when they
Will
fall
they
on their
mess with
face,
you? I see what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah,
I think I respect people that are constantly putting themselves out there at an
yeah.
early stage and keep and someone putting out 100 videos after a year and they're only getting 50 views. I respect them constantly trying and testing and innovating as opposed to stopping after their first 5 videos that don't get views or something like that. Someone who is consistent is going to be successful whatever they do, as long as they're willing to learn, grow, and adapt and innovate. And so I'm down with people like that because it shows their effort, it shows their character, it shows their attitude, and they don't quit.
So let me ask some other questions right now, because I know. Listen, you've been basically leading people remotely and letting people learn from you way before it was really popular, and that's
Yeah.
why, that's why you're here today, and we know you. What are you saying to people, and how are you improving the leading remotely now, or when you talk to a lot of I know you deal with a lot of big
Yeah.
clients, and they're probably coming to you and saying, how do I do this?
Well, for 10 years, I've been telling people you got to build an online business. Everyone's been doing offline. And now it's like, I think Google's not coming back to the office for a year. Facebook, their employees aren't allowed to come back to the office.
I think was it Square or one of them just said it as
Yes.
well. Period. They're not ever
They're
coming
not
back.
Amazon. I think it's like
Yeah.
half the people are, I
Yeah.
don't even know what it is, but it's like, so for me, I'm like, great. This is what I've been teaching for 10 years. It's like how to build online influence, how to build an online following and sell online. If you don't have sales, you don't have a business. You talk about it all the time. And so how do you build an audience and then use the tools available and sell? And how do you connect with your team virtually? And that's been a challenge for people for a long time. But I think a lot of it is just having great processes in place as well, so that everything is organized. We're hiring more project managers. It's funny because for 10 years, I was virtual working from home, and literally 2 months before Corona hit, I opened up a studio and an office space to bring more people in a culture.
Right.
So it's like I'm working out of here by myself, but at least I
Right.
know how to connect with people virtually. And I think that's the key. And what we really do is just try to tap into people as often as possible, do team meetings on Mondays, just really create culture through Zoom. To be honest, we had a call yesterday on Monday, and I told some dad jokes because of you. I was literally like, what's something that's going to get people laughing and keep people engaged? And
And were you because often when I tell a dad joke, I'm the only one laughing. Were you the only one laughing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's for me, because I just think about your face for whatever reason. But I think of dad jokes, I think of Daymond John.
Because you got to get a dry delivery. You got to just say it and then just
I can't do it. I just start laughing. So I think we have an amazing opportunity right now with figuring out who we are going to be in this time. This is a sucker punch, a punch right in the nose where your eyes are watering, and it's going to make you wake up and say, okay, what can I do to adapt and evolve and grow and keep doing what I'm doing, but in a virtual way? How can I shift? And I've seen people who have event companies completely go bust and have no more business.
Yeah.
And I've seen other event companies launch online events and literally thrive. They've been thriving the last 6 weeks. The people have been doing online events because they've shifted it, they've adapted it, and they haven't given up. And so for me, that's what's inspiring is figuring out what can we do and how can this be in our favor? How can this be for our benefit? It's like, what can you save? Where can you grow? Now you can hire people all over the world. It doesn't have to be local. There's so many different benefits to this if you look at it that way.
What if there's an employee right now, they're not the employer, and they're worried, they're concerned about going back to work? Okay, maybe they don't work in, and I've even seen now virtual secretaries right now, meaning you walk into an office, there's an iPad there, and the secretary will call the person out or whatever the case is. But there's a lot of people right now who want to talk to their HR department, or maybe their boss is not that tech savvy. Their boss is super wealthy and they're somewhere in Europe just hanging out, and they're like, oh, everybody's going to go back to work as soon as the country opens back up. And they don't care, or I'm not going to say they don't care. They're not taking into consideration their employees. How or what does a person now do to maybe get that information over to HR or to their senior management and say, guys, I have underlying health issues, or listen, all of us have health issues or whatever the case is, and we're all scared. Take a look at these things. What do people need to do?
I think you can't rely on your employer to save you. You can communicate what you want. You can communicate that, hey, I'm here for the long haul. Like, because I'm doing a lot of recruiting on LinkedIn right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so many media companies are laying people off in my space. They're foregoing people's pay. Everyone's taking pay cuts. Like, it's happening for some companies. Other companies are hiring. It's just got to depend where you're at. And I'm looking to bring people on. I'm looking to hire because I want to build during this time. I think there's two things they should be thinking about if you're an employee. One is your network, and two is skills. And if you don't have a skill set that someone needs right now, you got to develop that skill set. So making sure that your employer knows how talented you are and what are you going to do that's going to help them save them time, help save them money, or help make them money. If you can be an asset in that place, your employer should want to keep you and keep you at the same rate, hopefully, that you're at. You might have to take a pay cut, but hopefully you can keep you at the same rate.
How about that? What if somebody says, I'll take a pay cut, and here's how I'm going to take a pay cut, because if I'm not going back and forth to work, I'm saving 10 to 15% on travel and eating crappy food and all that stuff. I'll take a pay cut if I stay home. Do you think, and of course, they already have their virtual skill set ready and things of that nature. Do you think that is a good strategy? You think it's
I think it depends. I think it depends what you want. If you got a bunch of options and people are looking to hire you and pay you more, then okay, then you've got other options. If you got no other options, you got to make the most of what you got with where you're at. But I think it's a negotiation. It's all negotiation right now with your employer and figuring out what works for you. We have different situations with people on our team, and it's right now it's an individual basis of what we're doing with people. But I think if you can think about, one, your network, and two, your skills. And I saw someone leave a comment, what skills? You got to be thinking about if this is going to be a virtual world for the next decade. Yes, people are going to go back and working in an office. Yes, people are going to be in stores, stuff like that. But people are going to be hiring virtual now. What are the skills that you need to develop for the next 6 months so that you can become recession-proof and bulletproof and so desirable by any company? That's the first thing, is thinking of your skill set. The second thing, I've been on LinkedIn, Daymond. Literally, I was on LinkedIn 10 years ago for 6 to 8 hours a day. It's how I got started. Right. Wrote a book about it, did events on LinkedIn, did courses, all this stuff. And then I pretty much divorced LinkedIn for 5 years. I was so sick of talking about how to upload your bio and your profile image. And I was just like, shoot me in the face if I ever have to look at LinkedIn ever again.
Was that your time? Was that your best-selling book? Was that the one?
No, that's my first book that I wrote about LinkedIn. Yeah.
And is it still relevant? Can you take because I know obviously a lot of things have maybe changed. What can they take from that book? And if so, just what's the book's name?
It's called Linked Working. And I actually made it evergreen, so it was more about relationships and networking, not about like the actual stuff on the platform. But LinkedIn, I got back on LinkedIn a few months ago, and I see you're very big on there and active. If you guys don't follow Daymond, he shares some of his best content over there. Make sure to follow him. I got back on there, and I have been building some of the most incredible relationships with people, searching for talent. And I'm telling you, and I've been talking to recruiters, and people are recruiting on LinkedIn so heavily. And there are a couple of things you can do with your LinkedIn profile if you're an employee looking for more of a career that will make you so desirable and stand out. If you just optimize and take a day to really research other people's profiles and optimize yours, I'm telling you, it will make a huge difference, because just based on what I'm seeing is determining whether I'm accepting people's connections, whether I'm replying to them, whether I'm reaching out to them. And I'm looking to hire a bunch of people through LinkedIn. And I'm telling you, building your network will be the most powerful thing you do right now. It's what I did in 2008 during the recession then. And it's what got me to where I'm at today, having a powerful network. Because if you have a powerful network that knows about your skill set, you're going to have a lot of opportunities no matter what happens with your current job. So that's the two things I would say.
And I think that's good and powerful. And I think we probably need to reset some of my LinkedIn stuff as well, because, it's changing for all of us, and we need to adjust to a little bit of that. I got the last question. I know that you had and I mentioned it to everybody else here. You have a goal of impacting 100 million lives, and
100 million a week.
100 million a week.
That's the mission, Daymond.
So your 200 million downloads. Yep. Does that mean it impacts their lives? Or how do you measure that goal?
So it's measuring through audio downloads, through video views, through book sales, through tickets sold at events, through courses, things like that. It's measured through all the metrics. We have social media followers. But the goal would be through people that are listening and watching our content in a deeper, meaningful way, not just a quick hit like a social media content. And so we try to measure it the best way we can there. And I started my podcast 7 years ago. The first year got almost 750,000 downloads in the first year. That's doing every week, going hard with a very small audience, maybe 10,000 Twitter followers, something like that. It's being consistent. Year 2, I think we had 1.5 million. Year 3 was like 3 point something million. And it's just been doubling every year. So the goal is, okay, I'm not smarter than anyone. I'm not more talented than anyone. I don't have better degrees or experience, but I'm building experience by being consistent after 7 years now. And you probably recognize a little difference from the first time you came on to, I think it's been 2 or 3 times you've been on now.
Yeah.
That, you know, okay, I've adjusted a little bit. I've grown. You know, you see a difference probably from that year.
The setting has grown a little bit, but I mean, it was always powerful, insightful stuff that nobody's ever asked, and it always came from a very true, like, heartfelt angle. So I think that's why you first got at least the first set of recognition, because you were consistently, that's always been you, you know?
Yeah. And it's just showing up. And so now last year we had 100 million downloads in 1 year. So now it's like, how do we do 100 million downloads a month, and then every week, and then every, you know, it's just like, it's going to take time. But what are the strategies, and who are the people who can help me get there faster? What's the technology? What's the content strategies that I can do? So I'm just researching the best people in the world who do this, who are already there. And I'm trying to say, okay, do I have the resources to bring these people on, to hire the team? And if not, okay, it's going to take longer.
All right. Well, thank you, man, for always giving us the insights and really just the honesty. And we appreciate it. How many of these do you do a day? How many kind of interviews? Because I'm like doing a lot of these a day. How many are you doing a day?
In the first month of COVID, I was doing like 1 a day, it seemed like, for the week. But now I'm just doing a couple a week right now.
All right. Well, very good, man. And you're healthy and everything is good? Yeah.
Everything's good, man. But I need a favor. One more dad joke from you, man. Give me one of your top to leave us.
I don't know if it'll be a top.
The Tony was a classic.
It all depends on where it catches you. Why don't pirates ever take a bath before walking the plank?
I don't know.
They're just going to wash up on shore later. No. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. It's good, man.
See? They're dry, baby. They're dry. All right, man.
I appreciate you, David.
Love you. Be safe, brother.
Say hi to Mona.
I will.
All right, bye.
All right. I am running 10 minutes late, but I'm running late because I had a really great talk. But now I'm about to talk to Mona. I hope she was patient enough. I know that she is a very busy woman, and I want to make sure that I can get her in here. Hold on 1 second. I do not see Mona at the moment. Oh, yeah, I got her. Hey,
Hi.
Mona.
Hello. How are you?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm well. Do you know Louis? I was just interviewing Louis.
We've been on touch on DM. We were actually supposed to do a podcast for when I was supposed to go to LA, and then the trips got canceled. But I definitely follow his content. I love what he does. He's incredible, and I've watched your podcast with him as well. So it's great
absolutely
stuff.
Amazing. So thank you so much for taking time. I am going to get to your background right now, and I just, I hate reading a background when somebody's right there because I know it kind of feels odd. But I was running late, and I didn't want you to be like, listen, this guy's never going to get around to me. So
no problem.
Creator, Dubai Beauty Salon, the Dollhouse, co-founder of the billion-dollar company, Huda Beauty, and creator of, how do you say that? Kayali?
Kayali, yes, that's perfect.
Kayali. Yeah, okay. Attended American University of
Sharjah.
Sharjah. I don't want to screw this up. Listen, when I'm dyslexic reading American words, you don't even want to see me do these other things. But
no problem.
with a finance degree and worked as a banker, all right? So you got your financial intelligence right there. But you left that career in finance and was then self-employed for 3 years, during which you created a PR and marketing agency and a business consultancy that helped advise international brands on how to penetrate a regional market. So an immediate power shift to two totally different businesses, but that's not
Yes.
enough. Work nonstop to save enough money and start a beauty salon in Dubai called the Dollhouse, and took on all management departments of Huda Beauty, which you founded with your sister. And
Thank you. She's watching. She keeps commenting. Hi, Huda.
all right, well, and that's very.
Yes.
And now I believe it's been well. First of all, it launched in 2010, and with your sister, and in 2013 when she couldn't find false eyelashes. Is that
That's
the
right.
case? So that's when you started to roll it out, right?
So Huda used to create lashes. She was a makeup artist, and she used to create them herself by hand, and she used to like cut lashes together and paste them together for her clients. And we just realized there was such a huge gap in the market, and we're like, this can't be so difficult. And I was a serial entrepreneur at the time, so I was like, why can't we turn this into something bigger? And Huda was so passionate about it, so it was just yeah, it was really great.
But I mean that, and I know you're saying great, but the numbers don't lie. Valued at $1 billion with over 140 products, from eyeshadow palettes to lip gloss. So
Yeah.
that is where people sit up like in the Shark Tank. You sit up and go, oh, what are you talking about now? Because we can talk about all this thing, but there's so many things to talk about. Number one, you went to school for finance, then you pivoted over to PR marketing, and then you pivot over to a beauty salon, and then you pivot over to, which a lot of people right now are having. They have their own salons, or they have something of that nature, or their own business, which is a high touch business, and they want to expand more than that one retail, and they want to get their product, services, or IP out. So tell me about the pivot. Yeah, tell me about the pivots. How did you, whenever you were going from one area to another, and these weren't easy because you were in school and you paid a lot of money to go to school, and you wasted and you busted your ass for a lot of time, and then all of a sudden you're going to do something else. Where does the pivot come from, and what should people do now when they're pivoting? Because what were you going through?
Honestly, it really comes from passion. I never really felt like anything was the end for me until we started Huda Beauty. Starting a business with my family, I think that was probably one of the main reasons why it was successful and why it is successful, because my sister Huda is the founder of the brand, and she's the creative visionary.
Am I saying it right? Huda or
Huda?
Huda.
Yeah.
I am saying it right. Okay.
Yeah, she's very, very passionate, and I think that having her lead with such a infinite mindset vision is something that's gotten us all to just be very forward thinking about the brand and why it's led to something so grand. I think I personally was I was into entrepreneurship, and I was like, any business that I could think of I would do, and I did a lot of different things. I had a lot of small successes, a lot of failures, and I think that with Huda Beauty it really became strong because it was a collective effort from all of our family together, and we all have such different personalities. But having said that, it's been really, really tough. Like, nothing came easy. We literally had to work so hard, and it's been over 10 years now since we started hudabeauty.com. And, we got a million no's, and we still get a lot of no's. Like, people don't realize, like, even though you achieve a certain number evaluation, it doesn't mean that you're succeeding on every single project, every launch. It doesn't mean that retailers don't tell you no about certain things. So we still have challenges all the time, but we're just working really, really hard because there's so much passion and love and purpose behind the brand.
How many people in your family work together on this? Because it sounds like it was various different people. I thought it was just you and your sister. How many people in your family over the 10 years have jumped in?
So initially it was just Huda, my sister Alia, and myself. And then my brother-in-law, Huda's husband, Chris, joined. And my dad's always been helping a lot. He's retired. My dad is like 76, but he helps us out, and he did help us a lot, especially in the beginning when we weren't able to hire a lot of people. But it really is a family business, and now we have such an incredible team, and the team really is an extension of our family. And I think that's kind of the beauty of having a family business. Like, you just invoke that family spirit into everyone. So we have a really awesome team.
And needless to say, a lot of people I'm sure that work with you or for you have become family no matter what. And how many
100%.
times, though, in the early days, how many times did you want to quit, or your sister want to quit, or you just had a bad day and you were just like, this is not going to work out? Because when you say it's really hard, people don't realize, especially after you get to a good level in life, when you say it's really hard, you remember getting your teeth kicked in, right? You remember those times where there was no destiny or no certainty, even though there's no certainty now. Everybody's going through that.
Of course.
Um,
Absolutely.
did your family help pick you up? You pick them up? Did you go through that seesaw ride with everybody?
100%. And, I'm not going to lie, we still go through moments where I'm like, oh, this is so hard, because working with family is like the best and worst thing. There's like incredible moments where you're just like, oh, this is so great to be doing this with people you love, people you trust, people that, kind of complete you in terms of their strengths and your weaknesses. But it is really tough. And before we were successful financially, it was really, really tough, because then I was like, why am I doing this? Do I like suffering and like all of that? But I think it just comes from really having a very strong mission to really do something bigger than ourselves, and really, innovate in the industry and bring kindness back to the industry, and really, do something more meaningful. And I think that we were really about inclusivity way before it was popular. When we first started the blog, that was when there was really no Middle Eastern people, no brown people being featured that often in beauty. And that was so unfortunate. So we really wanted to be, kind of sharing for all of the people who weren't really included then. So now I think it's become a popular trend, but we started that 10 years ago.
I think a lot of people can learn from this, because entrepreneurship is a team sport. And if you think that getting into it, you're just going to be able to direct people on what to do and you don't do it yourself, it's really a team sport. And every time I wanted to quit, my partners, Keith, Carl, and Jay, or Bruce and Norman, and all of us were one big family, and they didn't let us quit. Also, though, we also sometimes got out of control, and somebody had to check us too and say, just because you're the boss or you have this position, you can't come in 1 hour a week anymore. Like, we need to find a way to replace you. You know what I mean? Because let's look at that. I mean, the egos go and play. But right now, a lot of people are going to be thinking of their dream business or their dream career with their family members. Can you give us some advice on the best way to navigate those things, and some tips? Any tips on how to do better with our family?
I mean, I think number one, just figure out like what it is you want to do and why. I think for myself personally, like I never really thought so much into the why until after we got our investors, and until we got this crazy valuation, until I really had to question, why am I continuing to work when I could really essentially pretty much retire? That I was questioning myself, like, why am I doing this? Why are we here? And it became a moment where I really had to figure out my purpose. So I think that for everyone, I wish I started from the very beginning, like figuring out what is the purpose behind what we're doing, because I think then you're just a lot more conscious about everything that you create, every single person you touch, whether it's your employees, your customers, and whether it's just through social media and marketing. So I think to really figure out, why are you wanting to do what you want to do? Because I think that's the only thing that's going to keep you going, and as you said, like, it's going to get super tough. You're going to want to give up, no matter, even if you're a superhuman, and even if you are just like the most positive person on the planet, you're going to consider giving up, because, nothing is always easy. So figure out what you would do forever if you weren't going to be paid for it, and like why you would do that. And then I think that's where you find magic. And, we would be doing beauty. We would, like Huda always says, she's like, I would pay someone to let me make makeup. So I'm like, we know that it's coming 100% out of passion. So I think figure out what your passion is.
Yeah, I think I did that with my team, and they did that with me, my friends, when we first came around. And even though we were family, meaning best friends, we said, Jay, you're going to be the actual physical designer because you love fashion so much. And Keith, you're going to be kind of that version of marketing because you love being out there. And a lot of the music artists, they vibe with you. You're a people person, right? You'll go to the studio at 3 o'clock in the morning and smoke weed with an old dirty bastard, and because he'll invite you down, and then you'll say, hey, what about that video tomorrow? You're going to wear a shirt. I'm going to be this guy doing this. And we kind of knew each other's roles, and we kind of wrote those down on paper as if, and we said, listen, if 3 overrules 1, then that's the way the decision is going to go, because sometimes, you get a little cocky. You don't want to hear from your friend, come in earlier or stay later. So I would just say that, if you're going into business with family, first create some kind of structure as well. You know what I mean? So that it's not a free-for-all.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think that we hold each other accountable even more than we would with a normal employee. Like, we try to be at the office first. We try to leave last if possible, because you lead by example. And I think that a lot of people kind of have glorified entrepreneurship to be your own boss. You get to have it easy and like take it easy, take holidays. you know, come in whenever you want. Like, no, that's not, I mean, I don't think that's really the truth. I think that
Right.
that's okay if you want to have an okay business that might last for a year or two. But if you're going in it to really create something grand and create a brand that's going to change the industry and really innovate and be something long lasting, you've got to be really tough on yourself, and you've got to set the standard for your entire team.
All right. So I want to ask one last question. I want to be very, you know, cognizant of your time. That right now, so the people who right now are trying to grow online, what do you think? And they have a product or service like we had talked about earlier. What do you think is the best way that they should start growing online?
I think that, you know, just being so lucky to have social media, I think just put your content out there and keep experimenting and see what sticks. You know, the best thing about social media is that right now, I mean, it's free. So, you know, get on to IG Lives, do stories, put things out as much as possible. And I think that's one of the best ways to gain awareness and also find out, you know, I think I watched on a few of your videos where you're just sharing, like, we're so lucky to have a community that can give us feedback and we can take it and use it for improvement. So I think just use your community as much as possible and just keep growing that way. And even if it's slow, like Louis was just saying, consistency is everything. You know, as long as you're consistent, you're probably going to keep growing, and just keep learning from your mistakes, but don't give up, because, you know, it's right before you're about to give up that I think, you know, the golden pot is right there. You just have to keep going. So
All right. So if anybody wants to, obviously, you know, they can reach you at Mona Katan, but your brand, and just give me all your social media platforms just in case, because I see a lot of people here who are into beauty, and I'm sure you have a lot of great advice to give them.
So you can follow me at Mona Katan. Our brand is at Huda Beauty, and my perfume brand is at Kayali. And we have a skincare brand as well, which is at Wishful Skin.
I don't know. We got beautiful skin.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate you taking the time. Sorry, I was running a little bit late.
Oh,
I
love you so much. I just have to fangirl for 1 second. I have to say, like, I grew up on Shark Tank.
Oh,
and
wow.
literally
Make
I've
me
been
feel
watching,
old?
No, like, I feel
That's
like my total entire, like, professional life, I was watching. You're the only TV show I watch. And I've learned so much from you guys, and I really appreciate everything that you do personally. I watch your content too, and it's been so great to learn from you. So thank you for everything that you do. You're so awesome.
Oh, I really appreciate you, and that means a lot to me. And thank you so much. And we'll be talking later about hopefully some other stuff. So all the best, and stay safe.
Thank you so much. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. So there we go. Hope you learned from Mona, of course, and definitely from Louis. Hope you had a little bit of a good time. I didn't do my dad jokes yesterday because I knew bringing on Louis, I would hopefully have a good time with him. Thank you for being here. You know that, and by the way, I'm going to tell you about one more broadcast I'm doing this week, but you know you can catch me every week at 1 o'clock on IG Live, and then Tuesday, Monday at 1 o'clock, Tuesday at 1 o'clock, Tuesday I do my interviews. So get your pens and pads ready. And tomorrow I'll be doing, please join me for my digital book signing with Chase Jarvis. And I'm going to have on there 2 more special guests. Well, they're really 3, but in groups of 2, meaning Mr. Mark Cuban is going to be on tomorrow on my digital book signing. And also I'm going to have on Randy and David from Bombas Socks. So if you're talking about selling online and getting out to people, you're going to hear about selling online and how they did it. You're also going to hear from Mark Cuban about his thoughts on what you should be doing right now during this time with yourself or with your staff or with your finances. And if you just get one tip that's going to help you, I think that it's going to be absolutely amazing. I know that I am going to learn from them. And then so join me in Power Talk next week, again, Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. All right, so I will see you all tomorrow. I'll see you all tomorrow with Mark Cuban, Chase Jarvis, and Dave and Randy from Bombas. All the best. Stay safe.